Happy Friday, fight fans, degenerates, gamblers. What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to the Sharp Action Report. As you guys know, we had to pull the plug on the show. Our favorite bookie, Andrew, has moved on to other pastures. We're happy for him, but unfortunately, we didn't have anybody to do the show with. Most of you probably know John Murray. Fun story for those of you who don't know. John was actually the one who got me in touch with Andrew way back in the day. So the only reason we even had the show in the first place was this man right here, and he agreed to jump on the show for you guys for the last pay-per-view of 2025. John, thank you very much for joining us today. How you doing?
Whatever happened to Andrew Babakitis? Is he still around at all? Do you know?
Yeah, I DM with him every once in a while on Twitter. He's a little bit of a ghost these days, but he's still
Well,
around.
I think he's one of these work from home guys now. So like for me, like if I hear somebody who works from home, unless they're in sales, then I think to myself, oh, he works from home, so he doesn't do shit. He just sits there, right? And he's watching like Netflix or something all day. And maybe he like jumps into like one bullshit like Microsoft Teams meeting and says one thing and then goes back to watching TV. Is that what we think Andrew's doing now? I don't know. I haven't heard from
Maybe so. You
No, I'm
never
kidding.
know.
I talked to I did text with him this morning actually. Andrew's great. Andrew did a great job on this show. I don't have his knowledge of the UFC anymore. I wish I did, but I'm still a big fan. I'm going to go to 323 tomorrow night. I'm very excited about it. I will do my best to recreate some of his magic, but it's tough. It's a high bar.
That's right. He did set the bar, man, and we're grateful to you. We're grateful to the time. As you guys in the chat may or may not know, this is more of an informational show than anything else. I have already broken down every single one of these fights as best as I possibly can, and then we'll do our undefeated post weigh-in show later this evening after the ceremonials. This show is strictly about information. John's kind enough to come to us from Superbook Sports, letting us know if there's anything we should know on the other side of the desk. And we're just going to run through the card and see what we've got. Obviously, if John's got any thoughts, he can give it, and we'll just kind of take it from there. So the first fight of the night, man, we've got Muhammad Naimov, and he's taking on Marion Santos. Really fun fight. Santos is an impressive kid. Looks like he's moving up the ranks very quickly, 16-1. Naimov just one of those guys that seems to be able to find a way to win, even in fights that he's losing. So I like this fight. We've got minus 245, minus 250-ish on Marion Santos, and then the comeback on Naimov is right around plus 200. John, do you have anything interesting on this fight?
We do. Actually, we saw, I've never heard of either of these people, but we did. I can tell you that we did see some sharp money on Santos at minus 2.25. So you see that price now. It's at minus 250. I can tell you guys, I'm glad you teed it up by saying that, hey, this is just informational. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen in that fight. I never heard of these guys. All right, but I did see some sharp money at minus 2.25. We're at 250 right now. So there you go. So
There you go.
I'm really enjoying this. Can I tell you that because you're gonna make us go through each fight, I'm now looking at the card and going, when do I want to get into the arena? You know what I mean?
Go. Yeah.
I'm not going to get in there for Naimov and Santos.
See, that's disappointing. You've got to be like what's his name? Joe Rogan's buddy that shows up and he's there by himself before the early prelims.
Is that Theo Vaughn?
Theo Vaughn. You can see him through the cage. He's the only guy in the front row.
That guy is the real deal, man. You know, I'll tell you guys a quick story. I went to whatever the pay-per-view was last December, and I got some tickets into like I don't know what it was. It was like some area where some influencers were down there, and they had a little food spread. And I was just getting some food onto my plate, and I just hear this voice behind me like, "Oh, that looks good," or I forget what he said exactly. And I turned, and it was Theo Vaughn. I didn't say anything to him, but I didn't want to bother him. But that guy is the real deal, man. He's at like every fight. Good for that guy.
He just loves fights.
Yeah,
he's our kind of guy.
He is the authentic, genuine article, my man.
Yes, he is. Now, on this one, I can't imagine you're going to have much to talk about. Nobody really does. Mansur Abdul Malik takes on Antonio Tricoli. I know you probably don't know these names. Tricoli supposedly is dating Mackenzie Dern, and he was recently seen at the World Series of Poker. So He's kind of a
I don't
poker
know.
player and feels like he's being thrown to the wolves here against Absur Abdul Malik. But
Yeah,
uh,
I don't know. I don't know much about these guys. I can tell you guys we've got Tricoli plus 750.
yeah,
If his presence means that Mackenzie Dern will be there tomorrow,
she should
then
be in the building.
I'd say that we're all winners if that's the case. But unfortunately, I don't have any. To be honest, I don't have any good betting information on either of the next two fights. There's nothing really intriguing to share either fight on the total either way.
Okay, good to know. So yeah, that next fight, you guys, is the Ibo versus Iwo battle here. Ibo's been around for a while, been relatively disappointing. Iwo was fresh off of Dana White's Contender Series, so it's kind of a at what point is Ibo going to fall, and is Iwo any good? That makes sense to me. That there's not a lot of sharp action on that fight. There's big question marks about both guys.
No, really, very little action on that, and I can tell you on the plus side though, that's really the last time I can say that about any fight on this card. You know,
All right.
this looks like a very well bet card, starting with the next fight.
I
Starting
love
with
it.
the next fight, yeah.
I love it. Next fight up, we got old versus young. Edson Barboza taking on Jalen Turner. Turner
Mhm.
coming off of retirement, returning to the big stage. Barboza finally getting tired of that weight cut, moving up a weight class. We are seeing this one here at 155, and Turner is a decent size favorite.
Yeah, big time movement on this one. So you talk about sharp line movement. Turner would be Exhibit A probably on this entire event, guys. Turner,
Wow.
we took money at minus 245. We took more money this morning at minus 310. We've moved this price about $1. We got Turner minus 340 right now against Barboza. So I think it's the biggest, unless I'm missing something, which wouldn't be unusual. This is the biggest price move of the entire event.
Wow.
Saturday is on Jalen Turner. Big time sharp money on Turner against Barboza.
Okay, everybody make note. Biggest mover on the board, Jalen Turner.
And come
Next
at
up,
now blame Clint if Barboza wins.
oh,
You know,
whoa.
just well, because you asked me to be on the show. Don't shoot the messenger, folks. But no, the wise guys really like Turner here. All kidding aside.
Okay. And I think that makes a ton of sense. He fought just a murderer's row before he decided to hang it up in his prime way too early. Yeah, I'm with
Right.
that. I think that makes sense. Marvin Vittori and Bruno Fajea, you guys know I'll go over this on the undefeated post weigh-in show later on, but this is a weight miss. We're not at 185 for this one. Bruno came in at 189. So we've got a weight miss situation going on here. And this is one of the pick'em-ish price tags on the board this week. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, movement on Vittori. Excuse me, Marvin Vittori. We had him at even money. They bet him. We're at minus 20 now.
Okay.
On, I believe they call him the Italian Dream, Marvin Vittori. I've always enjoyed him. So yeah, there's a little bit of sharp. That's pretty good, man. For him to be him fighting at 445 tomorrow. I mean, we gotta have to get into that arena a little early tomorrow, Clint. I think I might
That
have
one
to get down. Yeah,
That one should be fun. I mean, you've got a
yeah.
guy with a brick for a head who's going to walk forward and eat punches from a guy that sparks everybody. Like, what could go
Yeah.
wrong?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a pretty good. This prelim card's pretty solid, man.
Hey,
Pretty
John,
solid.
if you want my opinion, you should probably get there at least before the Turner Barboza fight. I mean, all
Yeah.
three of these first three fights probably could end inside the distance, but Turner, I'm pretty sure, is going to murder Edson Barboza, and then the card gets good from that point. So that that's my
I
opinion.
want to.
That's
I want to quickly complain because I like to complain. Why is this event tomorrow instead of next Saturday? I thought that the UFC usually did their pay per view on that like Heisman Saturday. Yeah, tomorrow's not a dead day for us. We've got all those conference championship games in college football. I'm surprised that the UFC picked this. I'm sure it's got something to do with T-Mobile availability, but
probably
for us, it'd be way better if this event was not going up against the Big Ten title game, SEC title game.
for sure.
Next Saturday would have been a lot better. I'm still going to leave work early. I'm still going to do it. I just shouldn't do it. Now,
Well, why not?
If it was next Saturday, just wouldn't even come into work. Period. I just go straight over there.
I
But
hear you. Well,
can't do
and
that tomorrow.
we've got a halfway decent card next week too to round out the year. It's not a pay-per-view. It's not quite this level, but
Okay.
yeah, we've got an unusually long break this year, going from the last
Yeah.
card of the year to the first card of the year. I think it's got to do with the ending of the ESPN deal. They're probably trying to wrap it up early and then pivot everything to Paramount.
Well, when I first started going to UFC, I'm sure you remember this, the New Year's card was one of the biggest ones of the
Oh
year.
yeah.
I remember being at an event where the main event was Alistair Overeem against Brock Lesnar,
That
and the co-main event was Nate Diaz against Cowboy Cerrone,
was a good
and
night.
and Nate Diaz was a huge favorite in that fight, man. He was like almost a $3 favorite, and Cowboy just kicked his ass. And I think that's how that went. Or do I have that reversed? Maybe I reversed that. That was a long time ago.
It
But
was a long time ago.
one of the guys was a big favorite. The other guy kicked the shit out of him. And I do remember Overeem did finish Lesnar. But that no, I just remember that the New Year's cards were the big events back when I first started following UFC.
Yeah, Diaz did get the win in that one. That's the one
So
where,
Cerrone was the big favorite. I said that backwards. Excuse me.
yeah, he was
But
like flipping him off between rounds
yeah,
and shit.
yeah. Diaz has proven me wrong many times, man. I was there the night that he submitted Connor. Of course, everybody remembers that fight.
That was a
I was
shocker.
there. I was there in Anaheim with a bet on Anthony Pettis in my pocket when he beat Anthony Pettis, which I think
Jeez.
was a co-main event of one of the. I think it was Cormier Miocic fights. I think is what it was. I was at that one, so that's not a surprise that I misremembered the Diaz fight. I'm usually wrong about Diaz. That makes sense. That makes
That does
sense.
make sense. Story checks out. I like it. All right, guys, moving along. We got Faraz Ziam and Nazim Sadikov. Another one of these
Hmm.
pick'em range fights. Faraz Ziam, the slight favorite here, the man from France. Anything interesting for us on this one?
I lied to you a couple fights ago when I said there was that was the last fight with no action on it. There's really not much action on this fight, to be honest with you.
Okay,
It looks a little bit of money on the favorite. We're at minus 155, but no, this is not a well bet fight for us.
okay.
Especially in relation to some of these other fights, because we got a decent amount of handle on most of this event.
That makes sense. Yeah, that one's a tough fight. It's a coin flip for a reason. Should be fun. But I think you might have something for me here, man. I want to know the
Mhm.
return of Macy Barber. So long
Yeah.
layoff, canceled fight, couldn't
Yeah.
make weight last time, didn't get medically cleared. Now she's coming back against Karina Silva, and she is instilled as a decent sized favorite. And this is on the move. I know she was like minus 180, I think, on Monday when I broke the fight down. I'm seeing higher numbers now, and I would assume you can tell me more about that.
Yeah, obviously we opened this one too low. So Barber, back about 10 days ago, we took some money minus 150 on Barber. She got to minus 180. She's all the way up to minus $2 now. So again, you're seeing some of this steam similar to the Turner fight where some of the sharp groups are really steaming this one up, moving at 50 cents, which is pretty significant when you're talking about a fight with a $2 favorite. That's a significant line move. Sharp money on Macy Barber. That's a pretty good prelim fight too.
That
That's
should be
pretty.
decent.
Yeah, that's
Both
not
them are
bad.
mean. Both them can finish. That should be good.
Yeah, that's a good
I
fight.
my only concern was her health. After her not getting cleared by the doctor last time, I was worried how she'd come back. She looked good, man. She had abs up there today. So, yeah, I think Barber's back for good. We'll see.
Good.
Um, Kind of the talk of the town here, though. Mr. One Round himself, Terrence McKinney and Chris Duncan at 155. The chat is very specifically asking me to ask you what's going on behind the curtains here because it looks like this number has been crashing all week. Chris Duncan, a big favorite. We all know Terrence, 3 to 4 minutes of cardio max, but this is trending towards Pick'em. It looks like a big
Yeah.
move on McKinney here. Can you tell me anything about that?
Oh, big time. Your chat is paying attention because I'd say if you asked me to pick one fight on the card that's seeing the most sharp money, it'd be McKinney.
Okay.
McKinney at plus 140, plus 130, plus 120. Now McKinney is even money. And yeah, very, very respected groups. Not the big guy. How did Babakitis land on that nickname for that guy? Is he a really large person or is it like an ironic nickname and he's really small? Like
He was very professional. He refused
yeah,
to tell us anything about what he looked
right,
like. So
yeah. And
Andrew
I've
just threw
actually
that out one day.
I've met the guy. He's kind of a normal looking person. Like sometimes you get like a gigantic fat guy and his nickname is Tiny. You know,
Yeah.
this guy is a regular looking guy.
Okay.
But it's not that
So
guy.
he wasn't
He
like
does
Jimmy
not.
Two Knuckles or anything. He's got like a
No, no,
tuna
no,
fish tattoo on his arm or
no. Just a regular guy. But no, he has not made a wager on this card so far. Obviously, we
Okay.
got over 24 hours to go. But other groups that we really respect that do well on UFC have bet McKinney and they've bet him multiple times. So do what you
Wow.
want with that information.
And this is interesting, you guys, because not that this means much of anything. They're just people like us. But I always like to look at the splits on Tapology where people make their picks. 67% of people are picking Chris Duncan. Reverse line movement isn't much of a thing always in the sport of MMA. It's bigger in like football and stuff like that, I feel like. But when you get one that's this strong, I feel like we need to take notice. So the majority of people are on the Duncan side of things. Most people are picking Duncan. Duncan opened the favorite. Line is chugging the other way, and we've got reported sharp action here on McKinney.
And you make sure that you've got a probably a pretty knowledgeable gambling audience on your show, but it's important that people understand that we don't move the line because everybody's betting a fight. We
Mm-hmm.
move the price because that person bet the fight or that
Yeah.
person bet the fight. That's how you see the market get moved. And whether McKinney wins or not, I don't know what the hell is going to happen tomorrow. I'll probably bet McKinney for myself, but whether he wins or not, that guy that bet him is a respected player, and we're going to respect his next bet too. So,
Yep. That makes perfect sense. And I do feel like most of the people who watch my show are aware of those kinds of things. But it's always nice to mention because you never know. Maybe somebody plugged in to watch for the first time. So Grant Dawson and Manuel Torres. John, this one's got me in knots because I actually like Manuel Torres. I'm a non-believer in Grant Dawson. Dawson is a big favorite in this spot, so I'm tempted, man. I'm tempted. What's going on here on your side of the table for this fight?
there's some money on Dawson. There's some money on Dawson. Just a little baby line move from minus 215 to minus 220. Haven't
Okay.
seen much take back on Torres yet. My guess would be that what you're going to get tomorrow is Dawson being included in a lot of parlays. So they're going to parlay Turner. They're going to parlay Dawson. They're going to parlay Peyton Talbot all the way to the main two fights with the two favorites and the big two fights.
Of
So
course.
I would imagine we'll be pretty big fans of Manuel Torres when they close the cage doors tomorrow.
Okay.
Last preliminary fight too, right?
Yeah, that will close out the prelims and should wait. Nope, I apologize. We've got one. Oh yeah, yeah. No, that is the prelims. They've got the split here weird on me on Tapology. So the main card kicks off with the legendary Polish power himself, Jan Blachowicz, taking on Bogdan Guskov. And we've got another pick'em.
Yeah. Yeah, and the money here is on Guskov. I can tell you guys that they bet him at
Wow.
plus 110. Pretty pretty respected group took plus 110, moved him to essentially it's a pick 'em now. Blakovic is minus 115. Oh, there's Babakitis.
Yep,
See,
jumping in the chat.
I knew it, dude, because he's a work from home guy. Those guys don't do anything. It's a Friday and he's listening to a podcast. Well, I mean, this guy doesn't have anything to do. It's sad. It's sad.
he's he's like Beetlejuice. You say Babakitas three times fast, he pops
Yeah.
up.
Uh, we talked. Clint and I spoke a little bit before we went on the air. What a fork in the road moment it was 2.5 years ago in Salt Lake City. Blakovic against Poatan. I was at that fight. I thought I was so sure that Blakovic had won that I told the person I was with I was going to run to the bathroom to beat the crowd. I didn't even wait to hear them announce the winner. I was so sure Blakovic had won. They gave it to Poatan. I think it was a split decision, if I remember
Yes, it
that correctly.
was.
And since then, Poatan has become the biggest star, the biggest active star in the sport. And Blakovic is having money come in against him on Bogdan Guskov. So what a moment that was, man. I mean, how different could things be if that decision had gone the other way that night in Seattle or Salt Lake City?
Yeah, huge swing of fate. I
Oh,
mean, Blachowicz since that fight has just been riddled with injuries. He had the draw with oh, I'm sorry, that was beforehand. He had to pull out of a fight because of an injury. He fought Carlos Olberg, which was actually another fight you could argue he potentially won.
yeah.
And now here he is 42 years old coming back at it. So I like Jan.
42, man. That's that. I'm 42.
Yeah.
I fall asleep on my couch and I wake up and I don't know where I am. So to think about getting into the cage, I think you got to bet Guskov tomorrow night, Clint.
I
Come
see.
on,
The problem is I'm
42.
already locked and loaded on Jan Blachowicz.
The guy's
I'm in on
42
the
years
Polish
old,
power.
man. Well,
You know, but they said
when you
that about
turn
Randy Couture.
42, when you turn 42, remember that Randy Couture was fighting in a different era of UFC. All right, when you're 42, you remember this conversation. Remember how silly it was to bet on a 42-year-old in a UFC fight, man.
No,
Crazy.
I got to tell you, John, that is one of my first rules: is you never bet on anybody over 40. I've always said is the 40 is the cutoff. I start doing that at like 38, 39. We scrutinize a little closer, and at 40, it's a no go. Jan is the first 40-plus-year-old that I have bet on in 5 years. I just think Bogdan sucks.
Okay, okay. I'll definitely be there in time for that fight. You can count
Yeah,
on that. So I'll
yeah,
remember this conversation when they're carrying Blakovic out of the cage. He's 42 years old, for Christ's sake, man. He probably gets up in the middle of the night, take a piss.
yeah, yeah. Probably does. But it's hopefully it's one of those situations where he just takes the path of least resistance. The grappling edge here is huge. If he gets bonked on the chin, it is what it is. I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Peyton Talbot versus Henry Cejudo. Speaking of 40 years old, Cejudo finally uttered the R word. We have a retirement fight, and Peyton Talbot, the next big thing, trying to build his resume with a massive name. What do you
Mhm.
make of this one?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have Peyton Talbot in a lot of parlays. I think it's a very, very interesting retirement fight for Henry Cejudo, is it not? You know, like
Yeah.
I was very surprised when they announced this fight. I was there in February in Seattle when he fought Song Yadong, and I thought that made more sense as a go out fight because it was the main event. I don't know. Does Henry Cejudo need the money? It's a very, very strange retirement fight for him, and will need Cejudo to knock out parlays for us, but it's hard to picture him
Hmm.
beating the young gun. Yeah, that's sort of how I look at this fight, and a potential star maker performance for Talbot. You know, if he can win this fight, maybe win it in a flashy way, he could really get something big next, right? I think that's probably what the UFC's hoping for.
Absolutely. And I think that the Song fight could have been Henry's retirement fight had it not been for the eye poke situation.
Right,
I
right,
I think he couldn't bring himself to go out that way. So
yeah,
he probably took one more, trying to go out at least with a decent performance.
that makes sense, and that was very disappointing because that was an awesome card that night in Seattle. It was a great event, and to have the main event end that way was a bummer.
Yeah. He was getting his ass kicked too.
Yes, he
That was a rough.
was. Yes, he was. Song Yadong is a beast, man.
He is.
He's a beast.
He is. Henry's in the wrong weight class and he's old, man. I
Yeah.
think I like Peyton Talbot personally. He's actually like one of my top prospects to keep an eye on, and we've been betting him the whole way. I just hate this price. Minus 250 over a guy like Cejudo. Like, should he win? Yeah. I got a feeling it's not going to pay off that minus 250 though.
So what you'll see the bettors do is when they, these guys, they want to bet as many fights as they can because it's so
Of course.
entertaining. If they don't really like anything in a fight, they'll just throw Talbot into a parlay.
Yep.
That's how it's bet. So and they might not even really like it, but it's like, well, fuck it, I'll just parlay Talbot and Dawson together. And so that's why the sports books like where I work will almost certainly be rooting for Cejudo. Triple
Absolutely.
cringe, triple cringe. You
I'm gonna
know,
miss the cringe. Did you see he tried to pass that to Talbot? He was like bequeathing the cringe to Peyton Talbot, and Talbot was like, "Nah, I ain't doing that."
wasn't his whole shtick that he, and, obviously, my memory's not the greatest, but wasn't his whole shtick that like he couldn't get chicks and he was like cringy? Why would anybody want that to be their thing? Like
Right?
wouldn't one of the best things about being an MMA fighter be the girls? Wasn't that like part of his bit?
I
That's a
mean,
terrible bit.
yeah, no, it was rough. I actually liked the cringe, as the pillows and the silly things he did at the weigh-ins and the face-offs. Like I
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Well, he's
But
a legend of the sport now. Let's not say anything bad. I don't want to say anything bad about Cejudo. I want people to think I don't
no,
like Cejudo. I think the guy's a legend, and he had some big wins. He
he
made the
did.
sports book some money back in the day too. Like when he knocked out Dillashaw, I
Yep.
believe that was the one that we. Who did he beat on the COVID card? Remember the one they did in Miami or
Uh,
Florida?
was that? Are you talking about the Dom Ray or the Dominic Cruz fight? Is that the one where
Yes,
he took the
yes,
belt?
that is the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We did very well in that fight, and I remember that being a great night for us because he won that fight, and then I think Gaethje knocked out Ferguson, and we did like fantastic on that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Henry Cejudo.
There you
Triple
go.
cringe.
Give the Triple C his props. All right, guys. Last couple of fights. please smash the like button. If you haven't, get subscribed to the show. And hey, make sure you're supporting Superbook because John does not have to do this. He's blessing us with some time and some info. So make sure you guys say a nice word on social media. Check out him and Kelly's show. It's one of my favorites, especially if you're talking about football or wanting to bet on football later on this weekend. Say hi to Kelly for me as well. Big fan of hers. And let's get into these last couple of fights. Brandon Moreno and Tatsuro Taira. My guy, Brandon Moreno, it's tough, man. Back to back. Cejudo and Moreno are my top two most profitable all-time fighters. And they're both kind of on that, championship level decline, right? These guys are getting ushered out. Taira is the future. Talbot is the future. We know what the UFC is trying to do. What do you make of this fight?
Well, I think Tyra is getting the sharp money, so he moved from -120 to -130. But I can tell you guys, I think that I know the public's going to bet on the assassin baby here. So I think this is going to be a weird one where the sharp guys are on Tyra. I think we're going to need Tyra. I think the public is going to bet Moreno. Who do you like? You kind
I'm
of
very
queued it up there
sad.
like you like Moreno. No, no.
I'm sad, John, because I do like
Um,
Moreno, and it's the worst feeling in the world. I do my show before anybody else does, so I have no information. The betting public, people on Twitter, I'm first to market, and I did that intentionally. So I'm not like tailing people I like or people I
yeah.
think are smart. I'm on Moreno. Apparently, I'm a fish. I'm going to be right there with the public on this one. I like him at plus money, the championship caliber, his ability to wrestle and scramble. I love Tyra. I think he's an amazing prospect. I feel like this is just one step up too quick for the kid, and I think Moreno's still got some juice left in the tank. So,
Those are
yeah, I got
great.
to be on that side.
Listen, the second, third, and fourth fights on this card are just great. I feel like
Agreed.
this is an event that's not going to do the huge numbers in terms of like pay-per-view units sold, but if you're a fight fan, that fight's really great. The next fight is really great.
Yeah.
I think I'll be rooting for Moreno. I've always been a Moreno fan. I was lucky enough. I was in Mexico City when he lost to Brandon Royval, which was a very cool event. That was the one where uh, T City beat Yair Rodriguez. Remember that fight? That was
Yes.
that was a crazy fight, man. That was also the one where Chi Wee Wee like didn't come out. Remember that? Like it's
I
just
like the
like
last second.
it's so weird. Like you're in the crowd and it's like, all right, well now it's time for the Ortega fight. It's like, what about the Raul Rojas Jr. fight? That just
Yeah, that
never
was weird.
happened. Yeah, but I like Moreno. I think I'll be with you on Moreno. I like the
Okay.
assassin baby. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you might lean my way on that one. And like I said, he's one of my most profitable fighters. Actually, Moreno is my most longtime profitable fighter.
Wow.
And he's my favorite fighter, John. You were talking about, looking back memory lane. I don't know if you remember, he got cut with the flyweights before the whole Cejudo thing when the UFC cut like the entire division way back in the day. Moreno was on the Ultimate Fighter. He was the last seed picked. Nobody thought he was going to be anything. And then he went to like a split decision with Pantoja on the Ultimate Fighter. That was the only guy that could beat him. They cut the flyweights, they come back, and then the guy fights all the way up to winning the belt and stuff. He's my personal goat. I love Moreno.
I do not remember that. That's good stuff. My favorite fighter of all time is Shane Carwin. That's my guy.
Oh, okay.
I bet an amount of money I shouldn't have been betting in 2010 the night he beat Frank Mir. That's all I can tell you guys. It was an amount that was extremely irresponsible for me to have bet. And
You got to take your shot sometimes.
He knocked out Frank Mir. It was the co-main event of some GSP card or something. But there was a lot of people running around very happy in my old condo that night. I can tell you that much. That was a fun night. That was a fun. Shane
last
Carwin.
last fight he ever won, John. So you
Yeah,
picked the
no,
right
no, I
time to
know.
do it.
Oh, a different ref could have stopped the Lesnar fight.
Yes.
I'm just saying. The ref did the right thing. I think it was Josh Rosenthal that night, and he was correct to not stop it. But a different ref could have stopped that fight in the first round.
Yep, I agree. And that's another one of those crossroads where who knows what would have happened if he had
Yeah,
gotten the round one stoppage over Brock
exactly.
frickin' Lesnar.
Exactly, man.
All right, guys. Co-main event: Pantoja versus Van. Front runner for being the second youngest champion in UFC history is Van if he wins. Short list as far as being the GOAT now of 125 pounds. Pantoja just cleaning this division out, taking on all comers. They're flying people in from Japan for him to fight because nobody can touch him. What do you got here?
Well, first of all, when they announced this fight, I was like, "Oh, I'm definitely going to that." This fight is sick, man. So the money has mostly been on Pantoja. It's mostly been parlays on Pantoja. I'm going to talk myself into taking a shot on Van. I think the guy is awesome, incredibly entertaining. I like the price at 2-1. We'll need Van, so I'll be rooting for that either way. But I think this fight, I mean, on paper, could be one of the best fights of the year in the UFC. I hope it
Yeah.
is. Just an awesome fight, and I think I know what's going to happen in the next fight, the main event fight. So I'm hoping, I'm hoping that we get an entertaining co-main event.
It seems like they've been doing that a lot lately, where they know the main event is going to let down somewhat visually speaking, so they
Yeah,
stack the co-main up, make sure you're nice and hyped up before the last one.
yeah.
Um,
That's
yeah,
why. It's also why they serve beer, Clint. You know, that's why it's because I. No, I think so far no sharp money on Pantoja. I'm not saying that, but
okay.
he's being included in a lot of parlays, and a lot of those parlays are going to go from Pantoja to the man we're referencing in the next fight.
Absolutely. A main event, Marab, the man who's setting records left and right, takedowns, title defenses, activity for the year. Where would the UFC be this year if not for Marab and for Pereira? Man, those two
Yeah.
guys are propping up the entire organization right now. Piotr Jan gets his shot, and before we get into the action on this one, I just want to mention I bet Marab against Piotr Jan in the first fight at Superbook Sports at
Mhm.
plus 210 back in the
What?
day. In the
Wow.
in the first fight, Marab was plus 210. How times have changed. We're sitting here now with Marab being a $4 favorite in the rematch just a couple of years later.
Yeah, and I think prices like that are probably why Andrew doesn't work for us anymore. You know what I mean? Like what the hell kind of a price? Uh, If I remember correctly, we lost a lot when Marab beat Sean O'Malley. I think I'm pretty sure about that. So I think that's why Andrew is now one of these guys. You know, like just he's watching Netflix with a laptop in front of him,
Got his
just
cup of cocoa.
calling it work. You
Yeah.
know, I think it's partially because of your wager, is what I'm saying. Yeah,
Probably so. And
yeah.
but I will say, actually, if memory serves correctly, you guys did pretty well that night because
Okay.
everybody was telling me how stupid I was. Yeah, Piotr Jan
Yeah.
was the favorite parlay piece of the week. There were not very many of us who had Barab tickets. So in this case, I actually think you guys probably cleaned up.
I only remember the losses, Clint. I all I remember is yelling at the staff after a bad result. I don't remember any of the good days.
So you're
I,
just like us gamblers then.
yeah, it's more like it's just like what the hell happened last night. It's never like good job,
Yep.
So I don't recall that win. I'm sure you're right. I just don't remember it.
Makes sense. Are you seeing anything here on the main event?
Yeah, like I said, guys, I mean, you're going to have so what our decision on this fight is going to come down to, and it's kind of hard to explain, but the gambling audience will understand it. Is it's going to depend largely on how the favorites do earlier in the night, because all these parlays are going to culminate with Marab in the main event. So how many of them are still alive going to that main event? Well, we have no way of knowing that now, but that's why if you're being responsible, you'll try to ride a little bit of money on Jan throughout the day because you know how many parlays are going to go to Marab. And isn't Marab just going to easily win again? Am I can you say that on the show? Like won't it just be like a boring fight where he just easily wins?
I'm a big believer in, especially with fighting,
Yeah.
rematches are never the same as the first fight. I always say that because these guys are high level athletes. They make adjustments, they add wrinkles, they've felt
Mhm.
each other before. But in this fight, who adjusts? How can either of these guys do anything different? I don't see where the adjustment takes place because it's already hard to take down Jan. Nobody's taking down Marab. Marab doesn't slow down. Jan doesn't have one hitter quitter power. So like
No.
it just feels like it will be the exact same fight to me. I don't see where anybody shifts on this one.
I feel the same way you do, but I think the great thing about the UFC is just when you think it's impossible, Leon Edwards knocks out Usman in the fifth round.
Oh
With
god.
a kick to the head, which is to me is still the most shocking moment of my life watching mixed martial arts.
Yeah, especially
So,
when you were holding an Usman parlay ticket. That was a
oh
rough
my
night.
God. I mean, I'm just saying, like, just when you think like there's no way this guy can win, I'll give you one. I'll flip Leon Edwards around. Leon Edwards dominating Diaz for 4.5 rounds. And then Diaz hits him, and instead of going in and trying to finish him, he points at him because
Yep.
that's who Nate Diaz is. But just never say never. I think is my point, and just be careful getting yourself too deep. I think Marab is going to win. I think he's going to win easily. I think it'll be boring, and he'll win easily. I think the
Hmm.
other fights before that fight are going to be really entertaining to soften us up for probably a boring Marab win in the main event. But be careful, folks, because crazy things happen in MMA.
Could not agree more. Folks, that is the Sharp Action Report. John, thank you very much for joining us to talk about this fight card, everybody. John is with Superbook Sports. So, especially if you guys are hanging out in Vegas, the best sports book, bar none, that I've ever been in. So, swing by, go check them out. They've got restaurants, they've got a million TVs, big, comfy chairs. John's a pretty cool guy. Make sure you check it out. They are awesome. And
We're
we've
gonna
had a really good relationship with them.
Clint, we're gonna start showing the fights too on Paramount Plus next year.
Beautiful.
So please come in. I believe January 24th. My guy, Patty the Batty, against Justin Gaethje, right here at the Superbook. Should be pretty cool.
John, can you believe that I am sitting on a Patty the Batty to be champ 2025 at 90 to 1?
Oh,
Can you
what?
believe that's a ticket in my pocket right now?
Where was the? Who'd you bet that with?
That was on DraftKings.
Oh, because I was actually gonna rehire Andrew just to fire him if you'd bet him, if you'd bet that here, like bring him back into the fold, then kick him out.
I like that.
No, that's a hell of a bet. Yeah, Patty. Let's say he jumped the line a little bit on Sarukian,
A little bit.
but
And those
he's
those
great.
scumbags never offered me a cash out or anything. I couldn't
Really?
I
Oh,
couldn't make it work, man. They locked it. They have me sitting here and I'm just going to stare at that ticket and watch it die because they made Patty fight on the first card of 2026 instead of
well, you
fighting
need
in
to.
2025.
What you need to look at. I mean, I'd be disappointed too, but look at the methodology that you're using to get to that bet. So there's something right in the sauce of what you're doing. If you keep making bets like that, eventually you're going to hit one. So yeah.
I would agree with you. And the sauce is that I do a futures show at the beginning of every single year
Mm.
with Andrew Babakitas. So
Oh,
that's the secret sauce. And
that's
we'll
the
be doing it
secret.
again for
That's the secret.
2026.
Yeah, he's good, man. He's Andrew does a great job. He knows he knows all the up and coming guys really well. He's a good source, and he's like me. He's a Patty Homer. We love Patty.
Of course.
Hopefully, we'll both be at the fight in January because that's here too.
Real quick before I let you go, John, the chat is asking what were the odds on your Shane Carwin bet?
Oh yeah, it was plus money, man. I got him at like I want to say it was plus 110. I
Wow.
want to say it was plus 110. Yeah, we were one of my buddies that was with me that night, he confided in me years later that if Carwin hadn't if Carwin hadn't won the fight, he would have had to move back home after the fight. I mean, we were like pretty early on in our lives out here. I'd only been living here for maybe I don't know, a couple of years, and he had recently moved here. He'd moved here the year before, and me, him, and a few other guys, we were starting out our careers, and I don't even think I was a supervisor here then. No, yeah, I was. I was a supervisor here then. We didn't make a lot of money, and we just decided Carwin's going to knock this guy out. And we bet more than we should have at plus money, and he did. He knocked
Beautiful.
him out. It was awesome, man. It was a fun night. It was a
That's
fun night.
beautiful. You love to see it. Thank you again, John. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and we will see you back in a couple of hours for the undefeated post weigh-in show after the ceremonial weigh-ins. John, if you have anything you want to shout out, promos, deposit bonuses, anything before we take off, the floor is yours.
When you're in Nevada, make sure you get a Westgate Superbook account. You don't have to live here to play on our app. So if you're going to the fights, come by the Westgate, get the account, and then be like me. Be in the arena tomorrow night betting on your phone. That's what savvy people do. That's what I'll be doing. I'll be in line for a beer making some idiotic bet. Make your bets here at the Westgate. I can't, you can.
Beautiful. One of us. Thank you guys one more time and have a great rest of your evening. We'll talk to you soon.